Howdy, y'all. I am Adam, the Renaissance Nerd. Ever since Amazon began to promote, push, get its adaptation of Tolkien's Lord of the Rings out there, it's been a targeted attack, a preemptive targeted attack on those they knew would push back against what they're doing. What they're doing, bottom line, is altering the lore to suit their narrative, their agenda, their message, their virtue signaling, social justice warrior, identitarian, intersectionalist message. Plain and simple. And when this whole thing started, again, they came out in a full court press to paint those who would be pushing back as toxic, problematic, as they're bad, they're this, or istophobe. I myself am being called a racist and a this and a that simply because I object to the desecration of lore. This is about lore. This is about lore, source material, respecting it. It's not about skin color, you weirdos. It's about respecting the lore and telling the story the way it was intended. Things don't need to be modernized, adapted. And that's part of their attack pattern on all of this. It's part of what they're using to gaslight us. And yeah, we make the videos, we're gaslit a little bit, but we make the videos to educate the normies, those who are unaware of what's really going on. And they come looking around. They find authoritative persons, channels who will say what they've been told to say. The shills. The shills are going to paint a certain picture, and in the past, the normies would buy it hook, line, and sinker, but not anymore, not today. Whether YouTube likes it or not, these channels that I do, that everybody does, where we simply tell you the truth with facts and logic, not warped perception of reality. They come to us and they hear us and they nod their head saying, yeah, that's pretty sane thinking. But it doesn't stop, though. It's not stopping. The shill media is still pushing the agenda, the narrative of their overlords. It was brought to me. I found this today. I'm bounding into comics, but we're going to go straight to the horse's mouth, the source of the river. This article here at The Wire, which we know is just a bastion of proper and factual evidence. Lord of the Rings debunking the backlash against non-white actors in new TV adaptation. The diverse casting, which includes non-white actors playing elf and female dwarf, has caused an uproar in certain quarters of Tolkien fandom. We're going to read this article. We're going to go through it as quickly as possible. It's not very long, but it is filled with false narratives, straw man arguments, and useless arguments that have been used over and over again in this culture war. And I'm going to point it out when it happens. And I've done my best to research something because, again, full disclosure, I'm not hardcore Tolkien. I watch the movies. I've read some of the histories in synopsis form, but I don't have the actual Silmarillion in my hands, which is what I mentioned that because it's mentioned here. But let's read through this. As you can see, it's not that long. So we're going to burn through this, and we're going to take it apart from my perspective, my opinion of why this is nothing but gaslighting garbage and trying to twist. Its primary objective is to twist everything. J.R.R. Tolkien's much-loved fantasy, The Lord of the Rings, is a work of epic scale portraying races of imaginary beings in medieval-esque setting of Middle-earth, culminating in a battle of good against evil. Peter Jackson's film adaptations in the early 2000s established the iconography and aesthetics that many fans grew up with and consider almost sacred. Nothing is false about that statement. That is absolutely true. And once upon a time, that was the standard. Good versus evil. There was no subversion. This is pre-George R.R. Martin opening the doors of subversion to the world. Once upon a time, that's what we had to deal with, and everything was nice and simple back then. But now we live in a world where everything is twisted and put on its head. Thanks, Germ. Now, Amazon's new adaptation of Tolkien's world is coming to our screens in September, The Rings of Power. Recent reports and a newly released trailer have revealed more details about plot lines, ramping up the anticipation. That's really not true. What we've been given so far tells us barely anything. What we've seen, though, has revealed a nice outline of their agenda and their breaking of Tolkien lore. The changing of Galadriel, the introduction. I can speak. The introduction of a host of fake original characters, which is why I call this billion-dollar fan fiction. Because it's as soon as you change it, as soon as you self-insert yourself in there, because I guarantee a lot of these original characters are self-insertion, and that is bad fan fiction. Billion-dollar bad fan fiction. This isn't going to be Tolkien. That is the core of what we're complaining about here. It's not Middle Earth. It's not Lord of the Rings. It's not Tolkien's creation. Plain and simple. And here's where they start to want to gaslight us. But it is the diverse casting, which includes non-white actors playing an elf and a female dwarf, which has caused uproar in certain quarters of Tolkien fandom. Here they go. They're painting us as the villains because we're asking to simply respect the source material. Respect the source material. Playing the elf, actors playing the elf. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And we're going to explain that in a second. I'm going to go to that in a second here. Some fans argue that Tolkien never described elves, dwarves, or hobbits as anything but white and claim that the casting is disrespectful to his books. But this argument is flawed in two ways. No, your rebuttal to the argument is flawed. We're simply asking to respect the lore. You respect the lore, you're not going to get a complaint. It has nothing to do with race or gender or even sexuality. It's about the lore. These are SJWs. All they see the world through is several lenses, many all at the same time: race, gender, sexuality, and political persuasion. And many times, as I just said, all at once, all at the same time. Now, here is what we all in our circles call the Star Wars rebuttal, where it's just space wizards. Why do you care? It's not real. First, these are imaginary creatures which are not always clearly described in the original books. Tolkien was more interested in metaphysical than biological questions. Still, there is some evidence of dark-skinned elves and hobbits in drafts of the Silmarillion and the prologue of The Lord of the Rings. Now, he's this individual. Who is this? I don't even see the name on this article. I don't even see a name on this article. Oh, no, here it is. No. Dimitri Fimi and Mariana Rios Maldonado. Well, these people, they're framing this in the Star Wars space wizards argument. Oh, it's just imaginary. It's imaginary. It's not real. If it's so imaginary, then why are you changing it? Why do you force the change? Because you fit your agenda, your narrative. Now, as I said, the Silmarillion. This is the other way they twist it. They say drafts. Drafts mean nothing. Drafts mean nothing. What ends up as the final product is what matters, is what is lore, source material. But this is how they do things. They take the barely anything. It's what they're doing with Star Wars right now, with the line, "I've not felt this presence since," or "When I left, I was but the learner. Now I am the master." I mean, they take these lines, they twist them, and they misinterpret them, and then they make that the basis of their arguments. And that's what this is. To say we found this in drafts of the Silmarillion and the prologue and the Lord of the Rings, they take it and they twist it and they alter it. But according to these people, the drafts give us evidence of dark skin. No, there is no evidence here of dark-skinned elves and dwarves and hobbits. Yes, we've seen the material of the Harfoots were of a sort of a sin, and that's already been broken down by more hardcore Tolkien fans. They tend to be like olive skinned, like Greeks or Italians. They're not meant to be African black. That's simple. Let's keep going with this thing. Second, even if Tolkien had specified that all the elves, dwarves, and hobbits were white, it still wouldn't matter. Adaptations are original cultural products that can imitate, question, rewrite, or interpret source material in various ways. Each adaptation is a new text, and each is an opportunity to update outdated and unacceptable tropes and find ways to represent and normalize non-white characters. Now, here it is. This is in 2 sentences. That's word salad. Sorry, 3 sentences. Word salad. Twisting this and that, saying we can make all the changes we want because we have to modernize it because the original is basically wrong and we can do it better than the person who created this vast, wondrous world. Arrogance, narcissism, elitism. Only the non-creatives believe they can do something better because they can't make up things on their own. They have to take something that's established and beautiful and warp it and pervert it. Just like Melkor perverted the elves into orcs. We're going to get to that in a moment. But this is a false equivalency. It's also that lame argument that, adaptations are adaptations. They're not accurate. Show me the best adaptations that are widely accepted and beloved across all franchises. They're the ones that stick the closest to the books or the source material as possible. When that happens, people love it. When you break from it, when you push it aside and say you can do it better, that's when you get pushback. And that's when you have a failure of a property. Reinventing Tolkien for the 21st century. Now, this is just about some black dude who got cast as Prometheus in a play. And you know what? This says 2005. This is 2005, before all this nonsense in the wokey happened. 2005. Maybe the dude was the best actor for the job. I looked him up. David Oyelowo, or whatever. I looked him up. I've never seen him in anything. I don't know if he's a good actor or anything, but maybe at the time he won the role because he put out the best audition. Meritocracy did exist at one point, and in 2005, it was still thriving. So this, again, is false equivalency. It's a false argument. Trying to say, look, we modernized things by putting people of color in these roles, and look how successful it was. It was successful in here. It was successful in there. No, maybe in that case, and then that's a stage play. That's a different beast altogether. Bottom line, these arguments are they're built on a house of cards, as we're going to see going forward. But as disgruntled fans might reason, if Amazon must have a diverse cast in this drama, why not stick to having actors of color play the characters who are dark-skinned in Tolkien's text? Here comes again the classic attack on Tolkien. They hate him. They hate him because he didn't play any sort of these games back then. He just told a story of good against evil. There was no racism in it. The evil peoples of Middle-earth were not based on Orientals. They were not based on black people. Orcs are not black people. The other races of Middle-earth, it was from around the world, perhaps, but it wasn't done like that. Tolkien's portrayal of orcs, legions of evil creature, and men who ally with Sauron, uses many stereotypes associated with Orientalism and the language of prejudice often found in literature of the era of the British imperialism. They love doing this. They love painting it in this broad strokes and just putting it all together and saying, look, it's racism because of what happened at this period of time. And that's why it needs to be updated. It needs to be corrected. See, that's their major mission, to correct the wrongs of everything that they perceive to be evil. When in fact, they're the ones being fascistic. They're the ones beating us all over the head, telling us if you don't agree with us, we're going to cancel you. We're going to destroy you. Oh my God. So reproducing this white, non-white divide along moral lines would endorse a very old-fashioned and harmful equation of physical characteristics of moral choices. You yourself just said previously that Tolkien didn't spend a lot of time with biological descriptions. Then where are you getting this from? See, they already, these people who make these arguments, they shoot themselves in the foot because they can't even keep track of their own bull crap arguments. You said he paid attention to metaphysical, not the biological. Then where are you getting this from? Obscure notes, again, the obscure notes argument. We find drafts, we find that says Tolkien said this, Tolkien said that, in order to make their argument. They dig as far as they can to the bottom of the well to try and find the last drip of water in something to try and twist the argument in their favor, ignoring the mountains of actual evidence and lore that blows their stupid perceptions out of the water. But Tolkien would have hated it. Even if we somehow knew that what Tolkien would have thought about Amazon series, it wouldn't matter. The author sold the rights to The Lord of the Rings during his lifetime and signed away his right to have a substantial influence over any new adaptation. And there is that other argument. This is the favorite argument of Disney Star Wars stands of, oh, George Lucas sold it. He has no control anymore. Or whoever owns it now, they have the right to do with it whatever they want because they own it on paper. No, you know who owns something? The fans own it. We own it because we are the lifeblood of everything. Without us, you have nothing. Without us, you don't have the piles of cash you make on these franchises. If we close our pocketbooks, if we close our wallets, if we keep our hands in our pockets and our cards safely away from the readers, you get nothing. If we do not support you, you have nothing. The fake fans, the stands, all these SJW wannabes, these wokies, they're not real fans. They don't spend the money. They don't make your franchise live on in perpetuity. They will not make it go forward. We are the ones that make it go forward. You have nothing without us. But you don't realize that, do you? Because these people writing this are fake fans because they're using fake arguments. They don't understand what being a fan of something means, what devoting hours, thousands of hours of something that you love. Sorry, thousands of hours of your life to something you love. Sorry, brains moving faster than the mouth. They don't understand that. They don't understand devotion. They don't understand passion because these people are empty inside. All they have is their virtue signaling. All they have is their download from their masters. That's why they're useful idiots. They do what they're told. They parrot with whatever the big, let's say, whatever their Marxist overlords tell them to say. Some believe Tolkien was writing a mythology of England. Yeah, he was. I've heard it. I've seen the evidence in that. He was doing that. He wanted to give his people something to hold on to, something to be proud of. And they are proud of it. But then they use the false argument here of, oh, but England's so diverse now. England's so diverse that you have to make it updated. Once it airs, the new Amazon series will be critiqued by academics and fans alike for many of its choices regarding plot, characterization, and setting. But judging the casting based on skin color and claiming Middle Earth is exclusively white is not misguided. No one's claiming it's exclusively white. We're simply saying that those you are casting as people of color shouldn't be in that region of the world. It doesn't make sense. I mean, again, right here, how can you have a black dwarf if she spent all her life underground or her ancestors spent all their life underground? Melanin in the skin is an evolution of being in the sun. Biology. You can't have a black dwarf. It biologically doesn't make sense. That's just simple fact and logic. And that's all we're coming to you with. You could have made original black and people of color, whatever, characters in the races of men because the races of men were varied. By your own admission, they have characters Orientalism, they were evil. Well, why not take a character from that world and part of the world and somehow make them appear in this section of the world where all these events are happening? Why not originally create that? Nobody would have cared because the races of men are varied, but the elves and the dwarves are not biologically. They're not. It clearly exposes what researchers at Helion called fantasy habit of whiteness. So ridiculous. As popular an element of the 21st century culture, fantasy issues with race, racism, and white privilege are subjects the genre has not fully addressed. Amazon's new series is a step in the right direction. This is all they care about. This is all, you know, right here, you see it right here. Will critique, you can argue over this, the characterization, the plot, and setting, but the most important thing is the color of people's skin. This right here, this whole part of this article shows that's all they care about. They don't care about telling an actual story. They only care about making you bend the knee and accept skin color here and there. They only care about skin color, and they only care that people obey depending on skin color and depending upon this and that. It's virtue signaling, it's stupid, and it's not the real world. Twitter is not the real world. These people are not real. Look, this person who wrote this, an academic. All they are is an academic. What is academia? The breeding ground of Marxism and leftism. All about agenda. It's all about ideology. It's all about warping and perverting things that are just supposed to be pure and fun. There's no fun in the world of the Marxists and leftists. There's only that which brainwashes you, that which forces you to follow the agenda, the dogma, the narrative. Well, they're going to get a rude awakening over this one because the people are continuing to push back against the Rings of Power. The trillion-dollar company Amazon is going to face a backlash the likes of which they had not anticipated, because we are not going to be quiet. It's not about skin color. It's about respecting the source material and respecting the fans, and they have done neither in all of this. It started with an attack on the fans, it continues with an attack on the fans, and it continues with a disrespect for Tolkien's work. All right, I'm done. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, a like would be very much appreciated. Also, if you're new here, why not subscribe to my channel? I invite you to do so. Check out the rest of my videos and my streams. You might find you like it here. I'm here to earn your trust and support with facts and logic, because facts don't care about your fifis. Hit the notification button. Share my video if you like what I'm preaching, and by all means, leave that real comment. Real comments are great. Normal people can have different opinions and still find common ground to get along. We are not stands. We are not SJWs who are cowards behind keyboards. I don't care what they think. I will never care what they think. But I will dunk on them. And I will ignore them and show that the rest of the world that if we ignore them, if we don't really give their words weight, they have no real power. They don't. And when the world realizes that, they're going to lose any scrap of influence they have. Thank you again for watching this video. Take it easy. Howdy, y'all. The first chapter of my fantasy novel, Guardian of Innocence, is now available for free. Click the link in the description below and join me in an old-school good versus evil story where Cole Larys, a disillusioned mercenary, suddenly finds himself dropped into the middle of a destiny he never asked for as the protector of Jania Saarine, a blacksmith's daughter who may hold the answers to finally stopping a millennia-old threat to the world of Rosetta. Cole's perceptions of love, family, trust, loyalty, as well as his very beliefs in fate versus free will shall be tested as he struggles to keep Jania safe from the minions of the dreaded Zabor Tal, former champion of the gods and now ruler of the long-forgotten Yis Empire. Click the link below, enjoy the first chapter, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and help it grow so that I can bring you the full story in the near future. Thank you, and enjoy the video. Thanks for watching, everyone. I don't do Facebook. I will never do Twitter. If you want to reach out to me, email me at therednerd@gmail.com. I'm on Getter now, at TheRedNerd, the Geeks and Gamers forums under @ROAS, and you can also follow me on Odyssey at The Renaissance Nerd. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy.